This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
In October 2019, Arlington, Texas was chosen to be the home of a new national museum, unlike any other. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a unique home of military history. The 100,000 square foot museums will house exhibits, archives, and artifacts relating to the 3,500 U.S. troops who have been awarded the medal, the nation's highest honor for valor in combat. The museum will have 31,000 square feet of galleries dedicated to U.S. troops who have received the award. The museum CEO, former Navy SEAL and NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, said the museum will focus on education as much as preservation. The building will have 5 areas dedicated to Medal of Honor winners from the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The main gallery will be located in a central plaza under a 25,000 square foot slab of steel, which will appear to be suspended in midair. It will be supported by 5 pillars. Black Rifle Coffee is a corporate sponsor of the museum, as are the Dallas Cowboys. The museum's board also includes over a dozen major corporations and 6 Medal of Honor recipients, including David Bellavia, Patrick Brady, and Britt Slabinski. Army Staff Sergeant Bellavia was awarded the medal for clearing an entire house by himself on November 10, 2004, as a squad leader in support of Operation Phantom Fury in Fallujah, Iraq. He killed 4 enemy fighters and wounded a 5th in close quarters battle. Army Major General Brady flew and coordinated the evacuation of 51 seriously wounded men during a firefight in Vietnam in January 1968. Slabinski, a Navy SEAL chief and team leader, led a rescue team of SEALs during Operation Anaconda in Afghanistan in March 2002. Slabinski and his team flew to a mountaintop ambush site to rescue Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts, who had fallen from the back of a helicopter. Slabinski led the team through almost constant combat against an entrenched Taliban force. Along with the board members, former presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama serve as honorary directors. The museum is expected to open to the public in late 2024.
All right. Welcome back. MisFitNation, the MisFitNation Show. We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, Come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisfitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the Misfit Nation. I know you're used to seeing the Tuesday crew taking this over for the last 2 weeks. That is the longest I've been not in control of the show. And I want to thank them two guys, Jake, Steve, Cagney, and Lacey, however you want to call them, for taking care of our show and doing a great job while I was away, enjoying myself and with my wife for our 30th anniversary in Italy. It was a great trip, and we came back to America, and it's hot, very hot. I guess it's called the heat dome going on here. Hopefully you're staying cool wherever you are and having a great time. As seen today, a great white shark washed up on the beach in Navarre, and then a hammerhead shark in Destin just down the way chasing a stingray. So things are going a little crazy on the beaches. Be careful out there. Also, while I was gone, the Officer Down Memorial page updated, which is something we don't want to see, but it does happen. So I'm going to read off some names of those who we lost since I was gone. Corporal Priscilla Sowell Pearson, Ponchatoula Police Department, Louisiana. End of watch, May 28th, 2024. Sergeant Floyd H. Miles Jr., Charles City County Sheriff's Office, Virginia. End of watch, June 9th, 2024. Detective Ryan So, Scottsdale Police Department, Arizona. End of watch, June 13th, 2024. And just yesterday, Deputy Sheriff Bradley J. Reckling, Oakland County Sheriff's Office, Michigan. End of watch, June 22nd, 2024. Keep their families and their friends and their fellow officers in your thoughts and prayers as you go throughout your day, today, tomorrow, whenever. And just think about them and the things they're going through and the things they've done for us. Tonight, we have a good one. She has grown up in some of the wildest places around the world. In Guyana, South America, as well as Lahore, Pakistan. She is now a panentheist, but also author. Her books were recently acquired by George R.R. Martin's bookstore in Santa Fe. She's a screenwriter, producer, podcaster, a believer in humanity. She uses her words in diverse ways to encourage us to be better in the world, but is especially drawn to defending our shared environments. So without further ado, let's welcome Kirsten Rudberg to the Misfit Nation. Welcome, Kirsten.
Hi. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
It's great to have you here, and it was great chatting with you in the green room prior. And that you actually have great stuff going on in your life. Tell us a little more. I only gave a 2-sentence thing about you right there, Kirsten. And I mentioned Guyana and Lahore, two polar opposites of where we live now. So please share a little more about you from as far back as you want to go to how we got here.
Yeah, sure. Well, I lived overseas because my dad worked for a company outside of Chicago that did hydroelectric dams, irrigation systems for developing countries. So that's why I got to live all over the world. And how I got here, I just got my Master's of Divinity a few years ago, and I went to seminary. I'm a panentheist. I have to give you 2 thumbs up for pronouncing that word because it is. It's like seriously such a hard word to pronounce. You did amazing. So I grew up overseas and, in between all these places, I traveled to Sri Lanka, Thailand, Bangladesh, all these different places. And every single place, different religions, different cultures, different languages, different stories and myths And it just always made me really interested in how humans kind of create meaning, how they talk about their world, how they figure things out. And so in about 2015, I thought, you know what? I want to get a master's of divinity because I want to study theology. I want to study religion. Just because it's that through line thread of how humans create meaning and how we interpret what that conversation with God or the universe or spirit, what that looks like. It's just kind of my jam. So that's how I got here.
That's a quick, you even did quicker than I did, I thought, but of all the places you got to visit, I mean, like I said, they're polar opposites of where we are now. They're complete opposites, especially Lahore and Guyana. Of all those places you got to go visit, which was probably your favorite? Which was the one where you felt was the least at ease?
Oh gosh, the least at ease. Gosh, that's such a great. I would have to say Thailand, only because and it was in Bangkok specifically. That it was so crowded and congested. It was just overwhelming for me to just be on the street and walk around. Besides the fact that there was so much to see, I get overstimulated sometimes when there's too much to look at, smell, notice. So being on the streets in Thailand, I just almost couldn't even handle it. The sounds, the smells, all the street carts with all the food, then everything that's for sale, and then everybody's talking to you at the same time. I would say that kind of was my limit of what I could deal with as far as being in a different country.
Thailand was definitely. We went there in 2009, I think, 2008 to 2009. That New Year's week, we went there, and you definitely see some crazy things, especially in Bangkok. Some very horrifying humanity things where women are on right underneath the train station holding a baby, begging for food. It kind of hurts you inside, but you don't know if they're really in the situation or they're just trying to use that situation to try to get tourists to give them money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Kind of pulls at the heartstrings a little bit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you left out that you walked Camino as well.
Oh, yeah.
2013. You're like the fourth guest I've had now that has walked Camino. So I guess I have to do it too now.
You do. Yeah. So I walked in 2010. I walked a route that was, because when I was going to do it, I thought, you know what? I mean, can I tell the story of how I ended up walking the Camino? Because I wasn't religious. I wasn't Catholic. It wasn't even a thing really in my life at all. And a very dear friend of mine had passed away the year before. My best friend, actually, and she died of a really rare form of Parkinson's, where she got diagnosed and died within 5 years. And it was absolutely devastating. And the next year I went to a feast day at this monastery. And at the end, I ended up bumping into this woman who was a carbon copy of my friend who just died. And we ended up talking, and she ended up being a Presbyterian minister. And she said, I'm going to walk the Camino in February. And I thought, I've never even heard of that. What is that? And by the way, you look exactly like my friend who died. You're freaking me out. Stop. But so we talked about the Camino a little bit. My boyfriend at the time, he gave me some pamphlets a few months later and said, this is what the Camino is. If you want to see what it's like, this is what it is. And everything back there was pretty rudimentary as far as seeing things, watching movies, figuring out what the trails look like. There was a little bit of internet presence, but not a lot. And so I thought, okay, I mean, this sounds interesting. I'm not Catholic. I'm not religious. And I don't hike, so I would never do this. And then a few months later, a dear friend said, oh, I saw this movie that I absolutely loved, and I feel like you should see it. So she bought it for me. It was a DVD. So this will tell you how long ago this was. And I popped it in, and it was The Way by Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez, which was about the Camino. And I thought, what an odd choice to send me this movie. I thought that's really weird, but I guess I am watching this movie, and I actually see what it's about, and cool. I'm still not interested. So not really sure what's going on. And then a few months after that, my acupuncturist said, oh yeah, my mom walked the Camino and she broke her ankle and after 500 miles. And I thought, how come everybody knows what this is except me? Like I know a lot about the world, but I don't know the Camino. And I felt kind of like a little bit of a loser. And then about 4 or 5 months after that, a dear friend from the Oregon coast called me and she said, Kirsten, I'm cleaning up my mom's study in Kansas. It has decades. It's taking forever because I'm going through every piece of paper. Decades of papers just shoved into nooks and crannies. And I found this travel guide. And I am compelled to send it to you. And I don't know why, but I'm going to mail this to you. And she said, I know it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but I'm just sending it to you. So I get it 2 or 3 days later, and it's a travel guide for the Camino from the 1960s. So this thing is so old. And I open up the envelope and I look at it and I think, what is happening here? I don't understand this. So whenever I'm confused and I don't know what's going on, I always pull a tarot card just to see what's going on. And the tarot card said, you have not been listening to the messages we've been sending you. And I thought, okay, I'm supposed to walk the Camino. Are you joking? I don't hike. I don't walk. I'm not religious. I don't understand what's going on right now. And then I decided after a couple weeks, okay, I guess I'm going to do this. Why not? Life is short. It should be exciting. Why not do something that I'm totally uncomfortable with? And so I basically got on a couple ships. I took the Norwegian Epic from Miami to Barcelona, took 3 trains to southern France. And I ended up walking this route that was known for its solitude and for how lonely it is and how arduous it is. And it ended up being like the worst weather that France had had in 90 years. So it was raining the entire time. I was covered in mud from head to toe. And then on top of that, most of the pilgrims quit walking because the weather was so vile. So I was alone most of the time. So yeah, that was my Camino adventure. I ended up walking 500 miles, 2.5 months, and it completely changed my life. It was absolutely unbelievable in lots of respects.
That's an amazing journey. Did you pick before you started places where you would stop, or you just randomly stopped? I know some people have it planned out by the day where they're going to stop, and others just wing it.
Yeah, no, I hadn't planned on France having the worst weather that it was going to have in like 90 years. So yes, I mean, I had all the guidebooks and I had some things planned, but then places were closing because no pilgrims were walking because the weather was so terrible. So it didn't make any sense for those hostels and things to be open. So one night I called 4 or 5 places and they either didn't answer or they said, we're not opening. It's not worth it. And so I had to camp in the French forest. So I had walked all day. I finally got to a place and it had just been miserable weather. And I just thought, I'm done. I'm done for the day. And I had a little bit of food in my pack. And so I just climbed off the path into the forest.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Found a little clearing and put my thermarest down, my rain fly on, the tent, and just camped in the forest overnight, which was not the most fun. I'm not going to lie to you, but I made it. I'm here.
And would you do it again?
Oh, 100%. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I have told so many people that the French people I think they were so confused by someone walking it alone, but especially a woman. And at that time, I had a lot of French people stop me as I was walking and they would say, what are you doing? And I'd say, I'm walking the Camino. And their second thing was, alone? And I said, yes. And then they would just become so excited and effusive and just like, this is amazing. Yay, congratulations. So I had, people give me free food. I had people just grab my hands and try to hold my hands and talk to me. I had people lean out of their windows wishing me bon journée, happy traveling. I mean, I just had a movie version of the Camino. It was wonderful. And then, I got to, because everything was so empty and nobody was walking, I got to experience a lot of stuff. I'd go into these churches or museums or wherever, and I'd be totally alone and I'd be able to experience everything. It was just amazing. It was absolutely fabulous.
And you mentioned churches there. When, like I said, I just came back from Italy. There's tons of beautiful cathedrals in Italy. And so many people there, I was on a group tour this time, and a lot of them like, oh, we've seen so many churches. I don't want to see them. But me, on the other hand, I want to see all of them. I want to go in to see the architecture, the art, just how it used to be, to see how it is from back then compared to what we do now. And it's just amazing to see that stuff. And I'm sure France was just like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say, like, when you're walking all day in the mud and the rain, and then you come to this small village and it's so small that you can walk through it in 10 minutes, but there's a church that's always open and there's never anyone in it, but there's just candles. you can just get in out of the rain for 10 minutes or 15 minutes and kind of gather yourself. There's nothing like it. It's just the most amazing feeling.
And even if there is other people in there, I felt like it was so easy to be alone with people inside those churches in Italy.
Absolutely.
Because I guess you just get in your thoughts and do things. It's some science stuff, I guess, but
Yeah.
it was fun for me. Do you think your experiences when you were young, living overseas, and then, of course, doing the Camino have actually shaped you into the human you are now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm very much, okay, so I've just seen so much of the world, and I think met so many different people from so many different places that I think I understand that we're all kind of the same. We kind of all want the same thing. And, to belong, to have community, to have delicious food at the end of the day, to have friends, and to just enjoy life, to revel in life. And so because of that, I always tell people, I'm trying to recreate the sandbox from my childhood. Because when I went to the school in Pakistan, it was kids from all over the world. So I played with kids from everywhere: Germany, Vietnam, Pakistan, Canada, everywhere, you name it. And, I just want to have that in my life again, which is why I'm befriending everyone with boundaries. I have very good boundaries, but
Right.
I'm almost like, hey, you want to hang out? Will you be my friend? And added to that, I'm also very, very conscious about, because of seeing so much of the world, just the damage that we're doing to it as humans. And so, my Peter Rabbit series that you talked about with George R. R. Martin's bookstore, it's very much, I'm rewriting the Peter Rabbit series, but so that it more forcefully engages with environmental degradation, sweatshops, human trafficking. So it's like Peter Rabbit redo, but a little more aggressive. So for example, the first book, A Tale of Two Rabbits, has a skinned rabbit on the cover, but it's to help people like read Peter Rabbit in a new light, but with the problems that we're facing today.
So up to the 21st century kind of idealism now to show what the life is now and how we can maybe take a turn for the better.
Right.
Trying to say that the right way there. You said human trafficking. I just started re-listening to a book I read a long time ago, Without Remorse by Tom Clancy, and it's a lot about human trafficking in there, and his main character kind of seeks revenge on those who trafficked the woman he fell in love with. So it's one of my favorite Tom Clancy books, and when you said that, it resonated with me there. That is a big problem across our world right now, human trafficking, not just little girls, it's boys. If you look at our border, you see what's coming across our border. It's not a lot of adults, or it's not a lot of people that should be coming over alone. It's people getting forced across on their own and into a different lifestyle that they were never ready for, and they're not going to be ready for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you think you have creativity? Obviously, you have that, then you have the Murder of Two, the Two Crows animated series on YouTube. So you have a creative side to you, and you're an author, a podcaster. Where do you think your creativity comes from?
Oh, an easy question with an easy answer. That is a great question. You have to know that I'm very playful, and I'm not sure if it's because, my childhood was a childhood, but it was also super challenging. I had a mother with mental illness. My dad was a perfectionist and a workaholic. So my parents weren't like really around or attentive, I guess you could say. And so I was the oldest. So there was a lot of pressure on me to raise my younger siblings and take care of them. So I always say that I never really got much of a childhood. So now, as an adult, I can be playful. And yes, I'm rebelling now at a ripe old age of, we won't say the age. Yes. And so now I can be playful and have fun and use my imagination. And so I think a lot of my creativity comes from all this repressed stuff from when I was a kid. So it's why a lot of my stuff's kind of childlike and fun. Like The Murder of Two is about two crows who sit on a line and they observe humanity and they see how silly we are and insane we are and the mistakes we make, which I realized later was actually me trying to work out what God or spirit thinks of us, looking down on us and just saying, oh dear, what's going on down there? But yeah, in the podcast, Byte Sized Blessings, I do that because this world is a hard place. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but it's kind of difficult. And I'm always looking for stories that remind me that this world is a good place and that I can believe in other people and that it's essentially a world that has our backs. And so that's what my podcast is about, just interviewing people that have had something magical or miraculous happen to them, and they talk about their experience. And so it's completely selfish because I want to hear those stories so I can feel good about the world. So I guess some of my creative endeavors are actually really selfish, just to be honest.
I wouldn't call them selfish. You're trying to expand what you already had inside you, but you kind of had vent up for many years. So now you're able to explode and let it out there with all your work that you're doing now. And do you think that your realization of the Murderer 2 with the doing it from the spiritual side came from your studies?
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, after I produced season 1 and it was up on YouTube, I mean, that's how long it took me. It took me a whole season for me to realize, oh my gosh, this was a total subconscious thing, like trying to work out this relationship with God and like what God must think of us. And yeah, I'm slow on the uptake sometimes, but eventually I get there. So you have to know that.
I think a lot of us are slow on the uptake now, and a lot of our world is slow on the uptake and not seeing the signs of things we should be doing correctly, and the things that we can do just in our own 5-meter circle within our house to make things better before spreading outside to make things better out there. We kind of wait for someone else way too far removed from us to fix things, and I think it has to start at home.
Yeah, I think you and I should create a t-shirt company that says "Slow on the Uptake."
There it is. Just put it right on the back of the shirt, slow on the uptake, and a little dots on it, or a little circle on the bottom there. Buffering. We're buffering. This is a lot of time. I think everyone that's listening or anyone that's going to listen to this in the future is going to say, yeah, I do that too. I do it. I buffer all the time. I understand. Someone says something to me, it goes, then about 3 days later it comes back. I know what they were saying now.
Yeah. I feel like the older I get, the longer the buffer time lasts.
It could be weeks. I know what they were saying now. Wow, that was dumb. But you don't want to tell them that you didn't know what they were saying at that time. Right. So, yeah, that's great. Awesome. That's amazing. Definitely t-shirt slogans. Good.
Yes.
At what point did you know that you needed to go to seminary school and get your master's in divinity or spirituality?
Yeah, that's a great question because every single person in my life was like, what? Because I'm not religious. I'm not. And I was an atheist at one point. And so I think, and my mother was like, how are you even going to pay for this? Because graduate school is ridiculous. I think everybody in my family knows that if I had my druthers, I would stay in school the rest of my life and get like 10 master's degrees because I love to learn. But one day I was driving around Chicago and I was listening to NPR and they had a discussion or conversation with an Anglican priest, an Anglican pastor, a Catholic priest, and a rabbi. And they were talking about some sort of social, cultural thing that was going on. And I was listening to the conversation and I thought to myself, I just had this insane feeling of envy, thinking, why can't I be a part of this conversation? I want to be included in this. I really felt called. And a few days later, because the buffering time that we talked about earlier, a few days later, I thought, oh my gosh, I want to be part of those conversations. I think this is a sign that I need to go and do this. And so then I started researching seminaries and I looked all over the place. I looked in New York, I looked in California, I looked everywhere, basically, that there's a Master's of Divinity. And around that time at work, over 3 or 4 months, every single person from out of town that I was meeting was from Denver. And it was getting so bizarre that I thought to myself, okay, this is so bizarre. Is one of the seminaries I'm applying to in Denver. And yes, Isla School of Theology was in Denver. And so I just thought, okay, I already know I'm going to get in because everyone's from Denver already. So I only applied to ILIF, and yes, I did get in, and then I got my Master's of Divinity. So yeah.
So you had those signs that we didn't even know were there. The
Yes.
buffering time was on you.
Yes.
Speaking of those signs, do you believe that the universe gives us signs all the time of what we're supposed to do?
Oh yeah. Yes. But I do think, we have to be open to them. And believe me, you have to, I grew up reading science magazines. So part of me still cringes hearing me talk like this, because I did not believe in this. I was an atheist for so long. And then I just kept getting hit over the head over and over with strange and bizarre things, with like the Camino messages, with my friends being compelled to send me these things for no reason. I mean, at some point I had to stop and just say, this is now verging on the absurd. There's something else going on here that I need to pay attention to. So as long as you're open to it, or you're open to a conversation with whatever, spirit or the great creator or God, whatever you want to call it, energy, as long as you're open to it, I think it's waiting there for all of us to start some sort of conversation with it. No matter what that looks like, because it's individual for each person. But yes, I do. I 100% believe in science, and that life is trying to get us to pay attention all the time.
Definitely. We have two comments from the audience that really made me giggle a little bit here. Jake, one of our Tuesday crew, with his TPI, he buffers all the time. he does. Sometimes I think he's on pause, but he's there for us. and my brother earlier, he said that he's, because we're talking about things I was reading, you're reading, doing stuff. He said he's sitting here watching air disasters getting ready to fly here in a couple days. So that's to keep himself occupied. So.
Oh
no! And then he just wrote this: "Do this, don't do that." Can you read the signs about the song? That's what I work with on a daily basis, right there. So the jokesters,
they will definitely buy our T-shirt. Then I feel like.
Oh, they will. They'll wear it proudly. I'll make sure they wear it on their show. Just buffering. We got this.
Oh God. I haven't laughed this hard in a long time, so thank you.
You're welcome. That's what we do here. Make everyone feel better. And our aim itself is, as you said, yours is selfish, ours is selfish too. We like to get you to tell your story so we can hear it, and then of course see your reaction when we do things. So it's awesome. And this goes right into my next question for you. How do you maintain hope in a world that is so kind of chaotic right now and fractured?
Gosh, well, this conversation and laughter is one, I have to be honest. The other thing is, I met you on Podmatch, and I have to be honest, I have met so many people. I've been a guest on lots of podcasts, but I've also had guests, and it all goes back to that sandbox from my childhood of wanting to meet everybody under the sun, and Podmatch is like the perfect place. And so I am meeting the coolest, grooviest, most generous, kindest human beings on that platform from all over the world. And so each one of those interactions, it once again like ratifies that this world is a good place and that there's hope. But then also hearing the stories on my podcast and all the magical or serendipitous synchronistic events that happen to all these people. Some of them are completely inexplicable. So that gives me hope. And then just every day walking out, I'm living on the Oregon coast now, and it's utterly gorgeous. I walk out. My friend lives on a hill in this tiny house. I step out on the porch in the morning to have my coffee before I go to work, and I just look out at the mountains. And you want to talk about something that gives you hope? It's just utterly gorgeous, and that does it for me every single morning.
That's outstanding. And you mentioned Podmatch, and a lot of times when I get the people to write me on Podmatch, I read what they say, and they're usually selling me wolf tickets on there. But yours, I looked at yours and then seen your picture, you just laughing. So I got to have her on her because she's that happy in the picture. She has to be amazing. And then I read your stuff. So your picture sold me.
Okay, good. Yes.
And then I read about you. So this is going to be a good one. So what's next for you? You have so much stuff going on. What is next? What's the next 5 years look like?
Well, you have to know that I don't have a home. So that was surprising, right? So
Yes.
I basically, I lived in Santa Fe while I went to divinity school when it went to seminary. And the last year and a half, the rents in Santa Fe had skyrocketed so much I could no longer afford to live there. But I was still working. So, all of a sudden, for a year and a half, I ended up house sitting. And then last October, I got called to go back to take care of my mom up in Illinois. Both she and my dad are getting really elderly and they needed assistance. So I lived with her for about 6 or 7 months. And then I've come out to the Oregon coast to house sit for the summer. I've got a cute little job at a local restaurant that's really popular. And I work with a bunch of 20-somethings who have finally accepted me as one of their own, which, as you know, someone who's not local, that's a really big feat in itself. And they're all so sweet. And it's nice to know that 20-year-olds can accept me. But then in September, October, I go back to Santa Fe. And then I don't know. We'll see where we end up. I might end up going back to Illinois to spend some more time with my parents. My dad's dementia is getting worse, and I really would like to spend more time with him while he remembers me. But then I have a comic book that's in development. So the first issue should be coming out hopefully within the next couple of months. We're getting it illustrated. I wrote the first 5 issues. So we have the first 100 pages done. It's going to be really exciting and really amazing. I've written 6 or 7 of the Peter Rabbit books. So I need to, they're illustrated. I need to get those out. The podcast For All Eternity. I don't know if you feel like you're going to be doing this one for all eternity, but I think Byte Sized Blessings is going to keep going. But in general, I just want to have fun and laugh and just meet a lot of people. And that's kind of my end goal. Yes.
I think that's our goal here, is just keep having fun. As long as this is fun, we'll keep doing it. We just recorded our 400th episode a couple weeks ago. So that'll be released in August, I think, end of July, August. So it's an amazing feat to get that far.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's so much fun. And of course, 400 episodes, that means I've met at least 400 new people.
Yes.
Within that time. And some of the episodes were 2 people at a time. So it was, in the early days, it was 2 at a time. So I was just trying to know what I was doing. I was just interviewing people and just putting out there, go, 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 go. And then I kind of found my way through help of others. And it's a lot of fun. And I know you have fun with yours too, sharing stories of people and their blessings in life. So it's something that you'll love to do and you'll keep doing it.
Yeah, and you just had your 30th wedding anniversary. You've had like all these milestones. Congratulations.
Thank you. And she didn't kill me in 30 years. That's pretty good.
Probably because you make her laugh.
I hope so.
Yes.
Sometimes she tells me to just walk away. I think that's that yin and yang of marriage. It's good.
Yes.
So, Kirsten, we've talked about a lot of great things. We've laughed. I laughed a lot. You laughed a lot. We've designed a shirt. This is the first time I've designed a shirt on my show. So that's a plus right there. And I've 2 people jumping in saying they'll help design it. So that's good too.
Yes.
They're on it. We're on this right here. In fact, my wife just said interesting right there. It's when me saying that stuff. She's on it. How do people get in contact with you?
Oh gosh. Well, you can go to my website, bytesizedblessings.com, and it's BYTE, because each interview, you can either listen to the long form interview or you can listen to the little bite-sized episode, which is just the magic or the miracle moment. So it's bytesizedblessings.com, and on there you can see the books that I've written. There's a link to my animated series. There is more information about my guests, all sorts of delicious stuff. So yeah, bytesizedblessings.com.
You also have your YouTube channel, which is
yes. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yes, the YouTube.
How can you forget about that? The Murder of 2 is on there. Come on. And then Instagram too. You're on Instagram too. I have all your sites going across. You got to be on all of them, especially with the people you work with. You got to have all the stuff they have.
Yes.
So I'm sure you have TikTok coming soon. You can do some dancing and things like that.
I'm hoping that the 20-year-olds at work will be able to show me how TikTok works.
They should be able to. I'm sure they're on it all day. If you can give the audience 3 bits of advice to just have a better life or be better humans, what would that be?
I love that you leave the super easy question for last. I appreciate that.
I try.
Let's see. I think, eat as many chocolate croissants as you can. And if you're walking the Camino, that means you actually lose weight, which is an added bonus. Number 2 would be just be gentle with yourself, because this world is such a hard place and there are more than enough people willing to also pile on to you and be a little hard on you. So you have to be gentle with yourself each and every day. Wake up and say, I'm going to give myself a break today, because this world is already challenging enough. And then number 3, I think give people the benefit of the doubt, because I think that each of us, we have no idea what anybody's going through in this world. And I do think most people want to be good to other people or be kind or be generous or what have you, but maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they just got bad news. So give people grace, give them the benefit of the doubt, and just show up with love. That's my 3. Yeah.
Outstanding. I know a lot of people just stay with that chocolate croissant thing and they're going to stay with that for the rest of the day. That's all they heard. I'm going to eat chocolate croissants and I'm good. Kirsten, thank you for hanging out tonight on this Sunday. I know it's a little earlier where you are. It's late here, and it's been great chatting with you. Anytime we can collab again, let me know. If you want me to jump onto your side, I can go on your side too and tell some stories as well. Oh,
I would love that. Yay. This has been so fun. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a good night.
You too, Rich. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Gold Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation Show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.